Good evening, everybody. This is Alderman Lee from the 11th Ward. It is Monday, May 22nd. We're here for a zoning change request community meeting. And I don't have the property address right in front of me because I went off the screen. Sorry about that. For 3257 to 3259 South Emerald. The zoning change request is going to be the presentation is going to be given by the property owner's attorney, Mr. Tom Pekarsky. I think we've got several members of the community here. Generally speaking, the way these go is that they give a presentation about the requested change. They share any site plans that they have, and then it gets opened up for questions and concerns. The purpose of this meeting is to hear the concerns of the community, answer any questions that there might be as I make a decision as to whether or not it would be supportive of a zoning change or not. So at this point, I would ask that everybody just go around the Zoom room here, say who you are, if you are a neighbor in the immediate vicinity, or if you're just a neighbor from the ward who's interested in some of the changes that are going on. So Deborah, since you're at the top of my list, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Deborah Broadlow, and I live at 3256 South Union, which would be pretty close to the property that is the proposal is going through.
Right, and
so
then you've also got Miss Patricia on the phone with you.
Yes.
Yes, I am. Patricia Amelia Polauskas, and I'm at 3258 South Union, directly across the alley from 3259.
Thank you for joining us.
The zoning in question. Couldn't be any closer.
Understood. Thank you. Can we go next to Nancy?
Hi, my name is Nancy, and I'm living in 3738 South Parnell, and I'm just interested on how the zoning meeting progress.
Okay, thanks, Nancy. Thanks for being with us. Mr. Pekarsky, we'll come back to you. Roberta.
Yeah, this is Roberta Einhorn. I'm here with my husband, Mitch. We are at 3310 South Emerald, so we're just like catty corner from the property that's being discussed.
Currently, I'm on focus.
The background's on blur, so they're not picking you up. Hi, guys. Roberta, I didn't realize it was you. Hi, thanks for joining the call. Loretta, is this Loretta?
Loretta Gustavus. I live at 3301 South Union, pretty corner from Patricia.
Thanks very much for joining us. Brad?
Hey, good evening. My name is Brad Hicks. I am trying to turn my camera on, but I'm located at 3252 South Emerald. So just one house north and across the street. So I'm just interested to hear about the process.
Great, thank you. Chris?
Hey, everybody. I am a neighbor here on the 3200 block of South Union. So interested in general, but also because it's very close to us. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Chris. Good to see you. Then Miss Chun Chan.
He's the
owner, right? Okay. And then Matt. I think you're the last person on my list.
Hi, Matt Malik, neighbor in the near area. I'm the 3100 block of Union.
our faces on the phone.
Okay, great. Thanks for everybody joining us. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Pekarsky. And I also have some architectural plans that I'll throw up on the screen while he's talking. So go ahead, Tom.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us, and thank you, Alderman, for hosting this tonight. I am Tom Pekarsky of the law firm of Gordon and Pekarsky, and I represent Chun-Ho Eric Chan, who is the owner of the property. This is the property at 3257 through 59 South Emerald Avenue. The site is located at the northeast corner of Emerald and 33rd Street. It's two legal lots that total 49 feet in width by 125 feet in length. 3259 South Emerald is improved, or 3257 South Emerald is improved with an existing 2-unit residential building. 3259 is a vacant lot. They're considered from the city's perspective to be a single zoning lot. So Mr. Chan proposes to subdivide the two legal lots into two zoning lots. The 3257 will maintain the existing 2-unit building without alteration. You would like to construct a 3-unit residential building on the vacant lot at 3259, which is the corner lot. This building would, the first floor would feature a duplex unit into the basement, and the upper 2 floors would be simplex units of approximately 1,200 square feet, possibly a little more, possibly a little less square feet. Building will be constructed of masonry material and feature colors that are consistent with the colors of buildings in the neighborhood, the color of brick and stone buildings in the neighborhood. As you can see from the site plan, the first page of the plans, we will the project is providing 3 parking spaces at the rear of the property. There is ample backyard open space for use of the residents of the building. And we will screen the entire backyard area from 33rd Street with landscaping so that it will be any use of the backyard by the residents will be screened from 33rd Street. We are also, you can see from the upper portion, just to the left of the parking spaces is an enclosed, yeah, written in that spot, enclosed garbage can storage. So we will be keeping that off of the property line and keeping it away from the visuals of the neighbors.
But how's the garbage going to get picked up then? They're going to have to move it out into the alley then?
Well, the same way that it's done for everybody on the block. Yes, I mean no, this isn't a private. This would not be. It's not a big enough building for private garbage collection. So on garbage day, they would have to bring the garbage cans to the alley just like everybody else.
Right. Well, no. Well, they're the only ones that would have to do that because everyone else's garbage is already out there. But go ahead. I just was curious.
Okay.
Me too.
That was Patricia too.
I'm
Okay.
right across the alley from this zoning that you're thinking of.
Okay.
I understand. I understand. And
It's awfully busy right now.
I will.
It's very busy as we speak.
If I could just, if I could,
anything there.
if I could,
Okay.
if I could just finish up and then maybe we can open it up for an entire segment for questions.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Okay. And the building itself will conform to generally higher density in the directly surrounding area. There are a mix of higher density and single family homes, both on this block and in the general area around Emerald and 33rd Streets. It will be similar to the trend of development in the neighborhood with the construction of the newer building at 3249 South Emerald, which
has no landscaping at all. It's all cemented over. I have a bone to pick with that one too.
If you could
it's
just
all
give me,
cemented over, no landscaping whatsoever.
If you could just provide me a moment, just indulge me for one moment. I'll finish up and then we can take questions from everybody. Thank you. And it would be consistent with the other 3 corners of Emerald, and I know we have several of the owners of property at the corners of 33rd and Emerald, which all have multi-unit buildings or multiple buildings on a single zoning lot. So this would be consistent with the density that is characteristic of the corner of 33rd and Emerald. So with that,
Not really.
I would
not really.
leave it open to questions. But we would ask for your support of the proposal to subdivide this property and in order to construct a 3-unit building at the corner of 33rd and Emerald.
And then just so that we have it on the record for for the recording here, Mr. Pekarsky, the requested zoning change is from what to what?
It is from RS3 to RT4. And there have been on the block at least 2 recent zoning amendments to RT4. So it is consistent with the trend of development and some of the recent zoning requests in the area.
And that's why we have extra traffic going up and down the alley.
Well, we are directly on the corner, so we would provide no extra traffic to the alley. Our cars would move directly from our property onto 33rd Street.
And then you're losing our parking space, which is also at a premium right now.
Well, we're not losing parking space.
Yes, you are.
We're not asking for a curb cut on 33rd.
Right,
Street.
so Mr. Pekarsky, remember, Miss Patricia can't see what's on the screen, so let us describe for you. Miss
Okay.
Patricia, what is on the screen? So their plan has 3 parking spaces that you'd pull into from the alley, so it's not taking up any space from 33rd Street.
Oh, from the alley, well, there's extra, there you go with the traffic again.
Yeah, but there's no traffic. We will pull. We're the first building from
33rd Street.
33rd Street.
Right,
But what Tricia means is that the traffic, even though it would be pulling into the alley off of 33rd Street to park into those 3 spaces, would still be the traffic that would be passing her property.
adding on to
That's
the
what she
traffic.
means.
There are a couple other outstanding issues.
3249 South Emerald, which was built only about a year and a half ago, with
And-
no landscaping to speak of, cement.
Okay, well, we are proposing, and I know you can't see it. We are proposing landscaping, and it's the landscaping is delineated on.
What you're proposing, you're gonna be chopping down all those established trees already, and Bridgeport is already short of trees. You're gonna be knocking down 3 established trees as you're doing some kind of a grass.
Well, we would be providing new landscaping, both in the front in terms of grass, and then along the 33rd Street side in the rear yard, in the form of trees.
I'm going to ask that everybody use the raise your hand function so I can keep track of who's got questions, if you don't mind. I know Chris Canich, you've got your hand raised here. Oh, okay. I see you, Roberta and Mitch. I'll get you guys next.
Okay, that's fine.
Go ahead, Chris. You're on mute.
Thanks, Mr. Pekarsky, for coming out and explaining this. First, I wanted to know whether you got through kind of your prepared description.
Yeah, I
dive
think we're open.
questions. Okay, great.
I think we're
Yeah, definitely. So looking at this, this is going from R3 to RT4. My biggest question is really whether this is the maximum number of units or like the maximum FAR that can be built once it gets set to RT4. Because I know one concern that some people have had is, oh, you come into the alderman's meeting and you say, I want to change to RT4 to build this, pretty, reasonable looking to me 3-flat, but then, oh, well, we got RT4. So we're actually going to put some big, like 5-unit lot line to lot line, 0 parking type building on that. And what I would want to know is, would that be possible with this change? And, is there any way for us to confirm that this is actually what's going to get built with the change that you suggested here?
Yeah, Chris, I'm really glad you asked that question, and it's something that we have had thought about, and we are willing to do what's called a technical, but bear with me for a moment in describing it. Making this a type 1 zoning amendment application, in which the plans are, the architectural plans are attached to the, I made a part of the zoning application so that when somebody is seeking a building permit, Mr. Chan is seeking a building permit, that this is the only thing that can be permitted, unless just any material alterations to the plan would have to come back for additional zoning review.
Gotcha. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, there's
Chris,
three.
was that your only question?
For now, yeah.
Okay, great. Mitch and Roberta.
Thanks.
So first of all, the neighborhood is already dense enough, and we don't need any more multifamily units in this neighborhood to be devaluing the single family homes that are adjacent to it. Second of all, you're talking about 3 bedrooms per apartment. 1 car is not going to be adequate for all of those units. You're going to need at least 6 to 9 parking spaces if each person in one of those bedrooms is a grown adult going back and forth to work, which most people have a car these days. Adding that many more cars on these couple of blocks is completely unacceptable and ridiculous to even think about. When they bought the property with a 2-flat and a really beautiful yard, to think about changing it to some monstrosity with like 9 people living in it at a minimum on that corner just seems unreasonable.
Thank you. I agree completely.
First of all, there's very little chance that there would be 3 adults.
Each listed as 3-bedroom apartments on your plan.
Oh, right, but they're not going to be subdivided into.
So are you saying
and
no one's living in
subleased
the bedrooms?
and subleased into with like a squatters type of apartments?
Nobody's saying that that's the case. A fully leased 3-bedroom apartment will have a minimum of 3 people living there, maybe more if they have girlfriends, wives, significant others of some sort.
Or a family with
Or a
kids,
family,
with,
sure.
with children.
Well,
Sure, children all have cars these days.
Children under a family with children between the ages of 1 and 16, 15. That's just as strong as of a possibility.
Deborah, I'll get you next.
And
well, okay.
we cannot, I do have to say that we cannot we cannot subdivide this property and build a single family home.
And
Uh,
reasonable approach is more in line with the neighborhood.
but the city's new zoning requirements don't allow, we have to, in order to subdivide, we would have to take this to an RT4, and the city doesn't allow for a single family home in an RT4 anymore.
Nicole, is that accurate? Can they build a single family home if they want to develop the rest of that beautiful yard into something really unattractive?
Or so.
Sorry, ask that one more time, Mitch. I couldn't hear you.
You're gonna change the appearance of the
Nicole, can they actually build a single family home there if they wanted to develop something and ruin the lot? Does it have to be a multifamily, increase the density to an unreasonable level? Why can't they build a single family home there? It would be more in line with the neighborhood that's already overly dense.
So Mitch, I don't actually know the answer to that specific question. From a technical perspective, I know from what I understand that it is, the 2 lots are 1, and for them to do anything on that side lot, it would have to be subdivided. So my understanding is that based on what Mr. Pekarsky has shared is that they cannot because of the size of the lot. That lot is it's a little bit shorter than standard 25 by 125. I think it's shorter by 1 foot. Is that correct, Mr. Pekarsky?
A single family home can't go into an RT4 zoning district.
Well, you could
But
rezone.
it's currently zoned RS3, I think is
And
what.
we cannot build anything in it on that lot as an RS3 because it's considered a single zoning lot, and we have
There's already an
there's a
existing
2-unit
structure
building
there.
on the single zoning lot.
Which is lovely. It looks great just the way it is.
Okay. Understood.
Spend all that money? There must be something in the background over here.
Well,
How do they
what-
have all this
So-
information?
I'm
Deborah?
sorry.
This architectural
Yes.
designs, they paid all
Sorry.
this money for this. So
Um,
they must have known something before this meeting here.
well, hold on one second, Patricia. We're trying to do it one at a time. And then you're
Okay.
gonna get the floor in 1 second. So,
Yeah, and that really is an unfair accusation that you're making, Patricia. This is typical of what you would see for a development is to have some form of architectural plan drawn as a visual for when you're seeking zoning relief, as a visual for everyone. And you know, your building is 5 units and built lot line to lot line on all sides. With no,
How's that again?
your building is 5 units and built lot line to lot line on all sides with no parking provided.
But that's an older building. It's like 100 years old, like a lot of the buildings in this neighborhood.
Right.
could I ask a question?
Deborah, go ahead. And Mitch, you're gonna go after Matt. Matt's got his hand up, but I
Okay.
saw your hand up. So
So-
we're gonna go Deborah, then Matt, then Roberta. I mean, Mitch.
Okay, so I feel that just living here since the 1998, we bought the property. Biggest concern is the sewer system and it flooding right now. I mean, if this does happen, first of all, if it happens, it's going to be apartments that they're going to rent, or are they going to sell them off as condos one by one?
Apartments.
Apartments. Okay. So biggest concern that I have is definitely the parking. And even though, I mean, you do have the 3 parking spaces right there, that would affect the traffic going in behind Patricia's building and our building. And then the other concern that I have is the drainage and the sewer system there. So now we're talking about a 3-story building on top of it in the neighborhood already on that corner, it floods. So if Patricia doesn't have her stuff straight, or I don't, then our properties flood because there's just not a equipped sewer system. Yeah. So how is it going to accommodate 3 more units? You know, with that's the biggest concern that I have is the parking and the flooding. And of course, you know, living there, the yard being there is absolutely beautiful with the land there. And I would imagine that the gentleman that bought the property knew what he was buying and knew that he would have to get approval to do that. So it's not like he went in with his eyes shut. I mean, he bought a 2-unit and an empty lot next door, I guess, with the anticipation of building on that lot, but didn't he know that he would have to get that approved?
We're not disputing that.
Okay,
This is a proposal.
sure.
For the property and a reasonable proposal for property. The parking, I do have to tell you that the city is discouraging parking these days with their multi-unit buildings, especially anything within about half a mile of a CTA or Metro stop. In fact, the city doesn't even want 1-for-1 parking anymore, let alone 2 or 3 to 1 parking. So this is in line with the city's desires for the future of this city. They would actually prefer less parking. The city.
Right.
And this is whether I agree with it or not. This is the trend in planning.
Right. Well, we all have cars.
Right. And I think
Too.
so. 2 things. I'll just jump in here before I let Matt and then Mitch go. Deborah, does the flooding happen in the alley?
There's that drain that's right up out there on 33rd Street. So if that backs up, then it affects Patricia's building and our building.
Okay. And I think the drain for me, something separate for us to take up as a ward office I mean, we should have a drain that works for everybody on the block.
Sure.
And so, and I hear you on the parking and I'll echo what Mr. Pekarsky was just saying. So the city with the equitable transit oriented design, we do fall into the corridor that's half a mile on either side from high volume or high volume transit, and that's the number 8 bus. So being 1 block off of there, he's right. Anything that is bigger than 10 units has to have it can only have a half a parking space allotment as of right. Anything more than that, and they only have a max of 1, and they have to get a special use permit. That doesn't apply in this case, so they are maximizing the number of parking spaces that they can have back there based on the number of units. I'm going to let Matt ask, because Deborah, are you done? Do you have any other questions or comments? What I heard from you is parking, the traffic in the alley, and the drainage as your biggest concern.
And the rat situation, because with the new construction, for instance, 3249, we have an extensive neighbors rats.
Oh. She's talking about the rats.
Yes.
Well, this would not require any demolition.
Mr.
So
Paul Bradlow mentioned that too. They're running rampant over there.
this it would not require demolition, so there shouldn't be any rat issues caused by.
Well, when you break ground, you're going to get rats. I mean, there's rats here now, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean that usually occurs. That usually occurs with the demolition
it occurs anytime you're digging it around.
Yeah. So, Patricia?
Yes.
Okay. Did you want, or I believe there's.
Well, I'm passionate about a lot of things, especially the green space in our cities, the fresh air, oxygen, whatever. Bridgeport is inept as far as the trees. Pilsen area planted 32 trees in 1 week, and we haven't planted any that I've seen yet. I've seen trees chopped down here, but that's it. That little lot that's across the alley for me has at least 3 trees are going to go. If you're going to okay this zoning change for sure.
But we are going to be putting landscaping in its place.
What landscaping? You mean like grass or something?
Grass and
shrubs.
49 hasn't put any landscaping there, although it's supposed to be a rule here in this neighborhood. 3249 has no landscaping. It's all cemented over. And as far as I know, judging by past performance, this is going to be cemented over too.
Patricia,
well, we can't.
They're going to submit plan, whatever the decision is. If there's a decision to move forward with this, it will be what's called a type 1 zoning change. So they have to submit plans, and whatever's in their plan has to be built to spec. Essentially, they can't stray from that. So that's what they're going to be submitting. Now, in the interest of time, and I hear your concerns, I want to make sure I've got them down and noted so that we can get to there's at least 4 other people who still want to make comments or ask questions, and we're running over time already. So your concern, in addition to the same concerns that Deborah just shared, which was parking, flooding, traffic in the back, rats, and the loss of green.
And trees.
The trees, yes.
Now with this being apartments, the other question that I have, just a quick question. So he builds it and he rents it out. Can they ever be turned into condos and sold that way?
Well, the city doesn't distinguish between rental properties and condominium properties. The intention is for these to be rentals.
Okay.
And would you, Mr. Pekarsky, would the owner agree to not list any of those as short-term rentals like Airbnb?
That would be horrible, absolutely horrible.
It's why I'm asking the question, Patricia.
Thank you
Okay.
thank you for bringing that up too, because that would be a concern of
Yes,
mine
that's
as
a
well.
great- Oh my
I-
God, that would be up. Oh,
I do believe we have contemplated that, and that was, that was not in the proposal. That was not part of the proposal.
Okay, so I think that there's, I think
And-
still
and we
things to
would
talk
be,
about. Let's go ahead and get to the other concerns. This is what the purpose of these calls are for. These meetings are for, to just get to the bottom of the biggest concerns. Matt, you're next, and then Mitch, and then I think Chris and Loretta, okay, in that order. So go ahead, Matt.
I'll just keep it quick, keep it to a comment. I live blockway on Union. I've got rats under my garage and a 6-unit building behind me that likes to fill up my recycling bins. It can be annoying at times, but I just would like to say, as somebody who goes by this property, really like this property behind in the alley, I would definitely, as a neighbor, like to see this get developed. And it's really just due to proximity to Halsted. Just a block away, we had 3 restaurants close a couple weeks ago. We have so many vacancies. And I always think that some part of it is the fact that we have vacant lots, even if they're beautiful and they're landscaped, so close to
what does that
what
have
should
to
be.
do with business? That makes no sense at all.
Well, you know, people that live there could go down the block and shop at the nearby restaurants that many of them have been struggling. So that's just my personal perspective. I will say that, you know, you're building across the alley. Personally, I really like it. I love standing at that intersection. And to me, this building is less dense and offers more parking than a lot of the buildings in the immediate surrounding area. So obviously, people who live immediately by it, I'll tend to have some deference for them, but just as somebody who lives nearby, would definitely just like to see some development go in that can support our businesses in the neighborhood that have really just languished in recent years. So that's just my personal perspective. Not asking everybody to agree to it, but just wanted to share.
Thanks, Matt. Mitch, you're next.
So I'll just interject that as a restaurateur, that you know, 3 more apartments would not solve the problems with the restaurants that have recently closed. So anyway, an issue of water, you know, runoff and absorption, changing, you know, that lot to something that's completely hard surface would no longer absorb water, you know, in heavy rainfall. I'm not sure what the sewer issue is right at that block, but certainly paving it over, you know, does not improve the sort of drainage issues. And in terms of congestion in this neighborhood, there are already too many cars trying to park here on the streets when you get home, you know, at night from work. It can be very challenging to find a place to park. And having those 3 apartments with 3 bedrooms each, whether they're, you know, whether they're families or 3 roommates, you know, the transient nature of rental units, it's not good or bad, but it doesn't improve the quality of life in this neighborhood. There are plenty of rental apartments in this area. I'm thinking that home ownership is more vested in development and the long-term property value appreciation and growth of the neighborhood, where this does not sort of meet those goals of the other property owners who live, you know, in immediate proximity.
Thanks for your comments, Mitch. Chris, you're next.
Thanks, Alderman Lee. Yeah, I also kind of want to just summarize my own personal feelings on this. I think that this is a project that's worth supporting. I do believe that this is the right zoning change here. It'll make that corner very similar to 3258 in zoning, very similar to 3257, that much lower density, but still something that brings a decent amount of units into the neighborhood that will be reasonably affordable for families. You know, my building has long-term tenants that are very invested in the community, very invested in the building, just the neighborhood itself. And I'd be very happy to see more people coming in and living in our neighborhood, being our neighbors. That's what I want to see happen. That's what I think the Connected Communities Ordinance is kind of trying to encourage in the city. And I do think the parking problems, the easier, better transit is the right way to solve that problem. And this is one of those
Well, why
ways.
don't you get rid of your car and help us?
I believe so. I mentioned, I'm sorry, you probably didn't see in the chat that I had mentioned that my building has 2 3-unit apartments, and there are what is it? We got 6 people living here. We got 2 cars between the 2 apartments. So we would be exactly in line with the amount of parking that is being suggested here for this building. So yeah,
Right.
we're doing a pretty halfway decent job there, but I think that this is something that is on us as a community to welcome more people in. And I definitely would like to support this. I don't want to, discount other people's opinions. I think that a lot of really good points have been brought up here. And I hope that Alderwoman Lee will take all that into consideration, but I just want to put myself down on the floor side. Thanks.
Thanks, Chris. Loretta?
While you're at it, the people that have these properties around Chicago or around Bridgeport should also take care of their properties. It's nice to have good neighbors, but have about clean neighbors. And what happened to our precinct captains? Nobody seems to be walking around the neighborhood to check on our neighbors, whether they're clean or not. Why do I have to call the alderman's office or whatever, you know? We should take care of our properties, be proud of our neighborhood. Never mind how many people live here. And a nice little area with a park, whatever else with the trees, there's nothing wrong at all. It's a bonus.
Patricia, I appreciate your comments, and I share your concern for people taking care of their properties. I just actually put in my newsletter just this week a reminder to everybody that property owners are responsible for keeping up their parkways and their lawns, and that our ward superintendent is going to start issuing citations to those who don't. Because we know what high weeds and high grass bring.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Thank you so much. That would be such a big deal, really, because I care. I love this neighborhood, and I hope everybody else does too. And take care of the places that they love.
Yeah, Patricia, I haven't lived deep in the 11th ward my whole life, but I've been a resident for, I won't tell you how old I am, although you could look it up. It's a long time.
I have.
So, I know that we have challenges. You can't walk around the neighborhood and not understand that there are challenges. And that is something that I'm very committed to raising awareness for. I promise you, some people just don't understand the standards if they're newer. And I think that's incumbent upon me as the alder person to create a community where people care a lot more, because I know the more pride people feel in the neighborhood, the safer we're going to be. I know all of that contributes to it, right? So that's why I'm going to start hitting people where it hurts in terms of giving them fines for not taking care of their own responsibilities for maintaining their lawns and their lots. That's where we get rodent issues too, because there's more places for rodents to hide and burrow. So hopefully slowly but surely we're going to begin to attack this, but it is absolutely something that's a priority.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. So I want to let Miss Loretta, you were waiting very patiently, so go ahead.
I agree with Patricia. All her efforts to make the place look beautiful. She does a lot of work around her house, and you'll always see something that is coming up. Well, anyway, I'd like to introduce my daughter who's with me, and she could speak for me.
With you.
I like to see beautiful parkways with a 25 by 125 lot. I can see a 3-story building plus landscaping plus garage.
Well, there's no garage.
Or no
Just
garage,
parking
but
space.
parking space.
Yeah, could you pull up the side view again?
That
Yeah,
one?
there we go. Yeah, so if I'm seeing this correctly, the only landscaping and the trees that are planned are on the back part of the lot, correct?
Well, that's the only enumerated landscaping, but we will have green space in that rear yard area.
I'm just going to project that shrubs are not 50 to 100-year-old trees.
Yeah, so
That is correct. They aren't.
And destroying the 100-year-old trees that are there is really sad and disappointing.
yeah, and I think that's kind of one of the biggest issues, right? The aesthetics of 33rd Street will change dramatically. The trees that have been on that lot are established. They actually create a good community feel, you know, so as opposed to having additional apartment buildings. I did have a question when the Airbnb comment came up. I thought what I heard was that you are considering Airbnb.
No.
rent-
No, we had contemplated the question, not contemplated that as a use. Is it, we would agree to not rent these out as Airbnb.
Okay, so I think the main issue, you know, that and concerns that we have are the aesthetics. And another question, how tall is the planned structure?
We have that on here. I believe it was
36
36.
feet, 3 inches.
Okay. And how tall are the other 3-story buildings that are in that area? Is it the same or very comparable, or do we know?
It's gonna be a little bit taller because 12 feet per floor is a little bit, and it's lovely, but I think that's taller than most other buildings.
So you have a very imposing structure that's planned in what is now a green space. So that's a real concern. And Mom's lived on
But
that
it's yeah.
for many, many years,
Yes.
most of her life, and it would change, you know, that whole, the neighborhood.
It
Well,
definitely,
right now, the
this
lot
is-
is not the part of our neighborhood or this immediate area. It would change the things a lot, really. You know, it would be well, I would personally, I would lose, I don't know.
well,
It's too sad.
Patricia,
In that plan, they're not showing the actual height of the entire overall height of the building. They're not showing the top of the gable. Where the top of the gable is, they're showing 36 something feet to the top of the roof rafters, not the top of the building. So that building's gonna be over 40 feet tall.
No, it's to the mid rise. To the mid rise of the gable. That's how the zoning measures height.
Exactly. So that's not the actual overall height of the building.
Okay, so in the interest of time, because we're way over and there's still 2 more comments, Brad hasn't spoken yet, so I'm gonna let him go first, Chris, and then I'll let you have the final comment, and then I'll close up, but go ahead, Brad.
Hey, yeah, thanks, Alderman Lee. So just wanted to say that I think that there's definitely like a lot of, right, like diverse and valid kind of criticisms and like opportunities here, but just wanted to throw my hat in. Excited to see that there could be new development and a little bit of just gentle increased density to the area to go and have more neighbors to go and take care of the space. So.
Thanks for that, Brad. Chris?
Yeah, apropos of the most recent conversation about the trees. So I'm looking at on Google Street View, there's a handful of trees in the lot, and I understand those have to come down. That's not good. But what I would really hate to see is the trees on the parkway. I see 2 old growth trees and then 1 like recently or 2 recently planted ones. Would you be able to kind of guarantee that those are not going to come down as part of the construction, that those trees that are in the parkway, both on 33rd and on Emerald, are going to stay up?
I can't make that.
Especially the one on Emerald Avenue, which is probably 100 years old or something. It's just like
that
would really rob the neighborhood of its beauty. Never mind somebody trying to make a living or trying to cash in on some apartment building. That would really be a scourge on the neighborhood.
I can't answer that in the affirmative or negative. So I wouldn't take that as a statement that we would take down the trees. It's just beyond my expertise in being able to say whether that would have to happen.
That might be a question for me. I mean, like if it's on the parkway, it shouldn't. It's on the city property. It's not on the private property that's being requested for the zoning change. The trees that would be the purview of the owner would be the trees that are actually on the property. So if there are trees on the parkway, those should not be affected.
maybe I can rephrase my question, kind of, would you expect that any of the planned improvements would necessitate removing those trees? Like the gas line has to be run, the water line has to be run, blah, blah, like that type of thing. Would you expect that those trees would need to be removed during construction?
I don't think so, but again, we are we're getting a little bit beyond my ability to
Yeah, Mr.
confident.
Pekarsky,
That's fine.
I think what I'll do, Chris, based on the issue that you raised, I can ask the question of the appropriate departments,
Okay.
Water, gas and all that. And I think, yeah, let me find out the answer to that question. So I'm not going to make a decision on this just right here on this call. I think there's a few more bits of information I'd like. I appreciate everybody's participation in this. I will, as we do more of these, there's a question in here, have the trees being removed been assessed for their value? So, okay. Loretta, I appreciate the question there. We'll take that into consideration. I don't think we've got an answer for that just here. I'm trying to balance the right of a property owner with the needs of the community and the concerns, and the purpose of these meetings really is to get to the heart of the concerns. And I took copious notes. I think that one of the questions that I would pose at this point is, with the development that has been proposed, Mr. Pekarsky and Mr. Chun here, I heard a concern for the total height of the building on the corner. That's not lost on me in terms of the size it would be on the street. If there's any consideration to bring the height down a little bit, I mean, these are just current drawings. They can be altered. I think you heard loud and clear that the neighborhood would like for that corner to remain as lovely as possible with landscaping. So I'd encourage you to take another shot at the landscaping in the front as well.
And save the trees, especially the established ones on Emerald. That would be, like I say, we'd all be upset if somebody took those big trees.
I'm going to do my best to do that. And that's on the parkway. That's on city property, not on private property.
Right. And
Okay.
and that's obvious, that's Patricia talking.
Yep.
Too. But
Yep, I heard that.
Oh, sorry.
But Patricia's building and our building will be the ones that are affected by it the most. I don't think Mr. Kanich would be affected as much from the traffic, and that I understand where he's coming from. And if with all due respect, I agree with you that more people in development, the restaurants reopening on Halsted would be great, but I don't think a 3-story building is going to really change that much. I think that's just a lot of those.
I'm shopping on Halsted all the time. I don't see my neighbors. I don't see anybody else shopping. We should support our neighborhood. And I would like to see all of you on Halsted. And maybe we could improve the properties on Halsted as well.
Just like Morgan Street, what they did. Yeah.
And look, the one building's not going to change it, right? I want to acknowledge, like, I have to consider, and we as a community have to consider density across the entire the entire ward in different pockets. So this is one building, and again, I'm wanting to get to the concerns. I will tell you that in my initial conversation with Mr. Pekarsky and the owner of this property, they contemplated a garage access from 33rd Place. And I said, you're going to take up parking spaces from the street. And I think that's going to be a real negative thing. Now, we could avoid the alley completely, but then you'd be losing parking spaces on 33rd. So, that's why they put the parking in the back. And anything that's going to be built there it's going to have some cars. So there will be, and I get the concern around 3 additional cars coming in and out at varying times, and that's a concern for you because you are impacted the most being on the other side of the alley. So I want to acknowledge that. I'm gonna do a little bit more research on my end in terms of the tree question. I want to look into this drain issue, and then we'll come back with a decision as to whether or not I support the requested change, or if there's changes to the site plan that can be represented to everybody. And just to note here, the community would like for there not to be any Airbnbs. So if the owner would agree to not having any Airbnbs, I think that also helps in this process as well.
Yeah, I think that's acceptable.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I'm sorry that we went over time. I've got somebody waiting out in the lobby for me very patiently. Hopefully they're still there.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for
Lee.
attending.
It's a pleasure meeting you, even if it's up by phone only.
Well,
Thank you so
I'll come
much.
by and I'll knock on your door.
Congratulations.
All right. Thank you, Alderman. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
righty. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for caring.